Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the board, I have 6 o'clock, and it's time for Monday, July 12th, 2021, Community Development Corporation regular meeting. So I'd like to start with item 8, call to order, as I did, and item B, invocation and pledge of allegiance. Mr. Milam, would you please lead us in the invocation?
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for today, and we thank you for these individuals that give of their time to serve on this very important board for our community. We thank you for the volunteers that are represented here tonight too, and we thank you for each one's input that they give to our community, and we just thank you for Los Fresnos. Thank you for the great community that we have to live and work in. And we just ask your blessings on us always. In Jesus' name, amen.
Next item, item C, Citizens Forum. Ms. Jacqueline, do we have somebody here to speak today? Thank you. Item number D, letter D, action items. Consideration and action to approve the minutes from the June 7, 2021 meeting.
I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve the minutes from June 7th, 2021.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion to approve the minutes from June 7th, 2021.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes got it. The motion passes. Next item, item number 2, consideration and action to acknowledge the June 2021 financial report, A, monthly, B, year-to-date report, C, sales tax report.
Good evening, members of the board. As you'll see on packet page 8, list of the checks for the month. They're all standard, normal checks that we would see, with the exception of the one about the middle, Keendig Keast, $10,324.05. If you'll recall, you agreed to help fund partially of the new zoning ordinance that is well overdue for the city. CDC's portion of it, of course, is because of development, not only residential but commercial, and they're about maybe 20% involved in that. It'll take about a year, but that's just a payment. So I wanted to bring you up to date on that, and it's going well, and it'll serve us well to have that updated. The next page is our disbursements and where they fall. We're 3/4 of the way through our budget year, and we're at 93.30% of our budget, which is good. Sales tax receipts that's the total, 382. Most of it's that. Disbursements 52%, 192,000 and some change. The next page, on page 10, actually shows you the sales tax thus far, 382,641, and again that's 93.33% of the what we budgeted. So we are going to well exceed that, and I'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. The next few pages are the line items that your budget comes out of, and everything is very good and in line. no things out of line. Capital outlay, we haven't used much of that yet. If you remember, the other part was to pave an alley that's there by the Wingstop to Dairy Queen, because as those buildings become used, they will enter on 100 and exit on the alleyway. So we're working on bid sheets for that in the next month or so for the end of the year. The next 2 pages just are numbers. They don't have any values on it. Brings us to the sales tax report on page 16. Had another good month, 19.7% up over last year. That was worse than our average, which is pretty impressive when you look at our average for the year at 20.62. We've had some really good months, 33, 39, 26%, and all increases through the year. So that brings us to 382, 709 for the year versus 317 last year. So a very good increase. We will probably exceed our budget by 100,000 if we continue that trend. I don't see why we wouldn't. That's good. That means our businesses are doing well. I know that you can hear some isolated cases, especially with the road construction. There where Cricket is, and then the bakery there, they really struggle because everybody avoids that area like a plague right now. It's hard to get in, and the people that know are coming down the alley and coming from the back, but if you don't know that, it makes it tough. But that's construction woes that a lot of other places deal with all the time, and we have kind of been excluded from that. So other than that, we're really good shape. That's all of my report unless there's questions.
Thank you, Mr. Mydum. Does that conclude your report?
Yes, sir.
Okay, do we have a motion to acknowledge the June 2021 financial report, A monthly, B year-to-date report, and C sales tax report?
I'll go ahead and make the motion to acknowledge the June 2021 financial report, A monthly, B year-to-date, and C sales tax report.
I'll second it.
Thank you, gentlemen. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Motion passes. Moving on to item number 3, consideration and action to approve a service agreement with the commemorative Air Force Air Show, RGV.
Members of the board, both David and Chris Houston are here. We'll give a little presentation, and I know y'all, we funded this before, not last year because of COVID, but give them the floor, and then we can have questions after that.
Thank you, Mr. Mylum. Welcome, gentlemen.
You'll push the button there on the mic. It'll turn red, and you're good to go.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me all right? Good. My name is David Houston. I'm the chairman of Air Show, have been for almost 30 years. As most of you probably know, we did air shows in Brownsville for 28 years before we were asked to leave. And so we came to Los Fresnos. At least we have a Los Fresnos street address at the Cameron County Airport. It's a wonderful airport, wonderful place. We're glad to be there. It really fits our old airplanes really well, the atmosphere of World War II. So we couldn't do a show last year because of COVID, of course. This year we're coming back strong. We have a wonderful show planned. This year we're doing something that's never been done on the Texas coast before. We're having a night show over the bay on South Padre Island along the entertainment district area, the green space there is where show center will be. We will begin the show at 6:30, 6:45, something like that, in the late afternoon on Friday, October the 1st, and we'll fly till it's pitch dark. We have one of our performers that does a night show that I hope you have a brochure that I included in your package. He's just incredible. And fireworks all over his airplane, lights all over his airplane. It's going to be really entertaining. We expect several thousand people to watch that show. It's open to the public. No way we can charge for it because there's no way. We would if we could, but we can't. The Convention and Visitors Bureau on the island is helping out with that night show. But that's something very, very special, and we're hoping that that will help draw more people to the full air show, either on Saturday or Sunday, or both for that matter. So the show will be October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. The 2nd and 3rd gates will open at 10 o'clock, flying starts at 1. Historically, we've opened the gates at 9 and started flying about noon, and we thought, why start so early? We've got daylight savings time. There's no rush to get finished with the show. So that'll give us a little more time to get ready for the crowds, and it'll also, by the end of the show, it should start cooling off a little bit. So we think that time frame is going to work well. Where you come in is we are going to spend over $200,000 producing this air show. Air shows are expensive by their very nature. We shudder to think what our fuel costs are going to be come October, because they're going steadily up even as we speak. And if you're not aware of it, avgas, aviation fuel, is about twice what automobile gasoline is, if not more, because they have a hold on the market. I mean, if you land your airplane, then you got to have gas. You're going to pay whatever the rate is, right? So our air show is going to be going to be expensive, and we are trying as best we can to get Los Fresnos involved in it in a number of different ways. We're very active. We've been working very closely with the Rotary Club here in town. They helped us out with volunteers. Los Fresnos ISD the same way. We're trying to use as many of the businesses in Los Fresnos for a variety of things. We have to build things. We have to get food for our workers. All sorts of odds and ends. So we're trying to push as much business towards Los Fresnos as we possibly can. So we need help, just plain and simple. We need help. We're all volunteers. We have absolutely no paid staff. Chris and I do have real jobs, but we do this out of a love for aviation and history. It's really interesting because the kind of history that we present, living history, isn't being taught in schools anymore. And so we think it's important from an educational standpoint and an entertainment standpoint. It's something different, something no place in the valley has. We have an air show. So we hope that we can get you involved. Now, from what we can do for Los Fresnos, in addition to patronize the merchants, and we are perfectly willing and capable of giving Los Fresnos, City of Los Fresnos, and the CDC space to put up an exhibit at the air show. We want to put you on the billboards. I mean, we can give Los Fresnos and Los Fresnos CDC a lot of exposure. We're very flexible in what we can do with our sponsors because it's our show. We don't have somebody else telling us how we can run our show. We do it. I mean, it's all us. And so we can be very flexible where that's concerned. So we're requesting $5,000. We would hope that you would look favorably upon that. That'll be a huge help to us. Because if we don't make money on this air show, we're going to be out of not only the air show business, we're going to be out of the museum business too. It's just that plain and simple. COVID hit us really hard, and we just kind of been hanging in there. We've had an excellent response from most people that we talk to. They're very excited about being able to get out and do something, right? To do something outside. And so the air shows that we have seen that have occurred post-COVID the crowds have been overwhelming. For example, in Burnet, Texas, they do a one-day show. And Chris and I, sometimes we announce that show. And they usually only have about 500 or 600 people that come to that air show. They had over 4,000 people come to their show this year. 4,000. They were completely and totally overwhelmed. That's a nice problem to have. I don't know that our crowd will be that big. We don't know. We won't know till showtime. But we anticipate that we should have good crowds, having a great time, and seeing things you can't see anywhere else. We'd be glad to answer any questions that you have.
Let me add something.
Yep.
We don't want to belabor the point. We thank you guys for taking time to listen to us. But it's not just the air show. The air show is our means by which to raise money. It's our only major source other than museum tours and that sort of thing. And we don't make enough off of that to sustain the museum and the aircraft. And the museum itself, you know, the catchphrase these days are STEM education, science, technology, and math. And, well, we were STEM before STEM was cool. We have the history and the understanding of the technology. Not only do we have aircraft, we have all sorts of equipment and antique vehicles and various things that go along with it. All sorts of artifacts in our museum. Most of them are related to local families. As a matter of fact, we have the seat out of a Ford Tri-Motor that came from just down the street here. And all sorts of artifacts and memorabilia that come from local families, mainly revolving around World War II or before World War II. All right, well, why is that important? Well, it's important to Los Fresnos because we have a lot of people that come through the airport and through the museum, not only from Los Fresnos, but through Los Fresnos and participating in tourism. Before COVID started, we had just really gotten up and fully operational that fall. And the 3 months before we got shut down, we were having 500-600 people a month through our little museum. Now, a big chunk of it was a couple of big special events we had, but we had the people there. And we were getting tour buses from the snowbird parks. And that sort of thing. Los Fresnos School District started off trying to be very supportive, had all of their principals out there for a lunch to see the facility, to encourage the students to come out on field trips. Of course, all of that went away. However, we have already started again. As soon as COVID lifted and we could open, we had snowbird parks at the end of the season that were bringing organized tours in, and we've had some other groups. And here in the next month, we're going to have 2 groups of National Guardsmen from Iowa and where else? Well, from 2 other states that are sending their National Guardsmen here to help with the border in the valley, and they're coming out to tour the museum just because they found out about us and are interested. So the fact is the museum and the facility itself is a part of the community. We do flyovers for the rodeo. We did a little flyover the other day for the 4th of July ceremonies and various other special events. And we want to be part of the community. And so the air show is what makes that possible. So we hope we'll consider that, not just from the show, but from the aspect of we're really helping support the museum for the entire year. So if you got any questions, we'll be happy to answer them. The show is a full 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, and then Friday night is the night show over the bay. So there'll be a lot of exposure. You can't hide it when you're doing it over the bay on a Friday night on the island. So we're excited about that. If you want to come out and see what we're doing, we usually have a big group of workers out there on Saturday mornings from 9 till about 1 o'clock. So, you know, drift out on Saturday morning, see what we have.
Do you guys still have the Friday night movies on occasion?
We do it after the time change. It doesn't get dark early enough. You can't start the movie.
And it's hot in that hangar.
Yeah, we're going to start that again in September, right after the show. Or I meant November, right after the show.
Great, thank you. Gentlemen of the board, anybody have any further questions?
Thank you for your consideration. Appreciate it.
Okay, so we have a motion to, or excuse me, we have a request for
Daniel.
approve the service agreement with Commemorative Air Force. Based on what's written here, they're asking for $5,000 again this year, which it seems to me, correct me if I'm wrong, would be the general package, which is the $5,000 package. Is that correct? Thank you, sir. So do we have a motion to approve the service agreement?
I would like to make a motion to see the board's response to possibly a 50% increase in the amount of money in which we're able to support them with, since our budget is in good position. If the board agrees with that, if we add another 2,500 to help with the success, to make it what we all want, I would make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. So we have a motion. Do we have a second to
Second.
increase that amount by 50%, which would be a total of $7,500? Mr. Lubin, you second that motion?
I did.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. The motion passes. Thank you, gentlemen, for your presentation. Have a great day.
Can we take yes for an answer and leave?
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Have a great day. Okay, so item number 4 is consideration and action to approve a sign grant for Los Tacos Rojos Restaurant located at 32412 State Highway 100, Suite E.
Just before this meeting, the committee got together and reviewed the information and followed the recommendation of signs and more for $2,650, of which $1,325 for the CDC's portion.
Okay, so we have from the committee an approved grant for $2,650, which half of which would be the responsibility of the CDC. Is that correct? Okay, so do we have a motion to approve a sign grant for Los Tacos Rojos Restaurant?
I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve the sign grant for the Los Tacos Rojos Restaurant located at 32412 State Highway 100, Suite E as in Edward. Sign grant was for $2,650. CDC's portion will be $1,325.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and second to approve a sign grant for Los Tacos Rojos Restaurant located on State Highway 100, Suite E, for a total of $2,650, half of which would be the responsibility for the CDC, which would be $1,325. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, motion passes. Moving on to item number 5, consideration and action to excuse the absence of Leonel Casanova from June 7th, 2021 CDC meeting.
Members of the board, just a procedure we need to start doing. No problem at all. Family functions come up, sometimes out of town, sometimes work, sometimes stuff. So we just need to go through the procedure. So we recommend approval.
Okay, General Manager recommends approval. Do we have a motion to excuse the absence of Mr. Leonel Casanova?
I'll go ahead and make the motion to excuse the absence of Leonel Casanova from June 7th, 2021 CDC meeting.
Thank you, sir. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to excuse the absence of Mr. Leonel Casanova from the June 7th, 2021 CDC meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it, motion passes. Moving on to item E, report by CDC consultant, Mr. Martinez.
As you can see on the one-page report, the amount of activity has been occurring through your office here at City Hall, and on new businesses looking for sites, information, technical assistance, and other related business and training development has been ongoing. It's been very good response from small business in particular, looking for new startup businesses or looking for sites to set up in Los Fresnos. So you can see it's been pretty active there. The community development also, our work with the school district, we're actively talking to them. We have a new CTE director or director of career, technology, education, and Mr. Rolando Guerra, and we look forward to working with him, the youth and the adults in the community as well. And of course, ecotourism. And that area of work, as you can see on the screen, we have some visitors here today, some wonderful people that share their time and their knowledge on the activities of what's going on. So I will stop the report there, and if you wish to have any questions after if you would allow us to come up, I appreciate you listening to them and their presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez.
Hello. Hi, my name is Priscilla Teresa Rosas. My address is 64 Resaca Shores in Indian Lake, and I'm also a Cameron County Master Gardener, certified Master Gardener for Texas. And I really want to thank the members of the CDC for the support that they've given us and the community on the butterfly project at the nature trail. And I'd like to thank Mr. Desi for allowing me and Judy here, intern, to work on bettering the butterfly garden. I just wanted to know a little more about what the future plans are for the trail. I believe being in the area that we're in, it has a lot of potential, especially because a lot of birders come through Los Fresnos, and a lot of people from the north, North America, come down here to the valley just to bird watch. So I think we have a lot of good things could come to the city as long as we keep up with the garden, keep up with the nature trail in general. Judy knows a lot more about the bird watching, though. I'm more of just like the gardening. And actually what we've been doing is we've been going every Thursday, Friday, as much as we can. We cleared up the steps that were there at the trail. A lot of people go and they see butterflies, right? But they don't really know that what the plants are. I did see that there are QR codes on some of the plants, but not everywhere. So I think if that was just a little more organized, I really like the signs that they put up about the way station, the butterfly way station. And but like I said, I feel like there needs to be more involvement with the community, especially with the QR codes on each one of the plants. I personally don't really know much about plants. I just know more about soil and the compost. And we actually, Judy and I, with the help of some of the city workers, constructed some compost bins. And with those compost bins, what we're gonna do is we're gonna create our own soil with that. So that'll help us, help the city with, instead of going to McAllen or wherever to buy compost, we're making it there in the garden. So I'm actually working on trying to get more on signs on the bins, because right now they're just on the opposite sides. But I do want to work on maybe just more signs so people know what we're doing. And what we did is when we cleared up all the weeds from those steps, we put them into the compost bin. So all that with some, I'm actually saving all my scraps for more compost, like my banana peels and onion peels and everything. And I actually put some in there last Friday before I went on vacation. But anyway, with all that, within due time, we're gonna have rich soil that is going to just make the garden bloom. And I know there are future plans to plant more native plants, just to attract. The goal is we want to improve the ecosystem, because that plays a big role with what I like to see in the future. When people come down, they're going to see how rich and beautiful the park will be. And I know it's an ongoing project. It's not going to stop. It's going to take a while for it to grow and to be at where we want it to be. But I'm just glad that we are able to help. And what I would like to see is just a little more involvement with the community. So if there's like a Facebook page, I'd like to know who's in charge. I would love to help advertise on my personal social media, because right now that's the way to get people's attention, is to get more of the community involved. Is we need more social media sharing. We need more volunteers. I have a lot of projects that I would like to bring to this, and as being a volunteer for the CDC for the nature trail, I have a lot of ideas that I would like to get how we can get the community involved. For instance, like high school. I know right now everyone's on vacation, but it's when you're applying for a new job, when employers see that you've been a volunteer for so long at so and so, you have a better chances of getting hired. So my goal is this fall is to get the high school students involved with the park. Also, I was told that the livestock at that livestock area, they have their own compost going on. I'm not sure, I haven't been there, but I would like to reach out to them also to see if they would like to volunteer their time. And then of course that would just help us out a lot. And
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Ms. Lubin, would you like to share a few words?
Oh, sure. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here. Like Vanessa Priscilla said, potential volunteer groups and interests are important. If we can get more natural gardeners, if the community owns the garden, and what I mean is that people who live here, near here, like Priscilla and Indian Lakes, if they own the garden, they'll take care of it. And I think education and social media, if we could have articles in the Los Fresnos paper frequently, ongoing, about the park, and there's so many things in that park. I don't know if any of you have ever walked it. If you walk it regularly, share about the history and species of birds and migration. How big is the park? How long are the nature trails? I've found geocastings out there. I don't know how many even know what a geocasting is. Somebody is putting painted rocks out there. We need to tell them about littering and taking care of the park, in that it's got water retention ponds. And, Priscilla talks about composting and natural species. What natural species of plants and animals and birds and butterflies are there? And of course, you've developed the butterfly garden, preserving and encouraging monarchs is so important, and bees and everything. Use of chemicals. Developing a Facebook page. I can't find a true Facebook page for the park. I would love to help you all, or who's ever responsible in this city, get social media involved and activities in the park.
Thank you, ma'am.
I thank you, board, for, hey, this is what we all are about, and community and economic development. It starts at home with our neighbors and volunteers, and it's a good thing. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, yes, sir.
I was going to say, do we have, or they are a reference for future planning for both butterflies and birds and everything else, or do we have another committee?
This is the committee, standing committee that y'all, go ahead.
What I was going to say is, y'all came at a perfect time. We're doing budget. So, in the next few weeks, Desi, if you can get the four of us at least, or if there's more, 5, whatever,
Yes.
let's get together and put our heads together for future. I can show you some, there were some very preliminary things looking forward for the park, but they were all just kind of nothing firm in plans. And so this is a good time for us to do that and say, okay, where are we going and what we would like to accomplish immediately, say in the year, and how do we fund that? Yes, Facebook and all of that, volunteers, we want that. We probably have to have some things for purchasing, things for maybe some of our staff to do, and let's get together and then we can come back, whether it fits in part of CDC budget or fits part of city, our general fund budget, or maybe some of both, and then we'll come back to you with maybe a roadmap a little better than what we have now, because we have a project roadmap. Hey, we'd like to do this, and we go do this, and it's perfect, and that works good. But we don't have a big, long roadmap, and that's what we need, and we can use your help to develop that. Yeah.
Yes.
So we'd love to do that and bring it back to you.
Yes, sir.
What I was going to say was, would it be possible to put together, say, a 1, 2, and maybe 3-year recommendation? It can also be always be adapted over a period of time. We need to do it.
Excuse me, Tom. You want to push your?
Say a 1, 2, and 3-year for both plants as well as birds, butterflies, and everything, to give us something to start with and to work with. And again, we can budget for it. It can be adapted or changed if, say, in the fall of this year, the spring of next year, the summertime, the fall of next year, and,
Yes.
and then we can make adjustments as we need them.
That's
But
correct.
the starting roadmap,
We'll get it done.
We need that
Yeah,
to come
definitely.
from you.
And some of the items, I've already started the discussions, and we do have the capacity to assist on the Facebook, doing newsletters to the newspaper. We're starting with baby steps and developing a 3-year plan. No problem. Can I go now, just roll 30 seconds? You want to go to the other? I just want to make the announcement this fall that not only do we have the air show, but we've got on your packet, keep going down, IT Junior, I call him, further down, right there. We're going to requested to be at the Fall Festival, excuse me, Fall Festival. Well, yeah, the Birding Festival in Harlingen, to set up a display there. We've been trying for several years. Now that the burning project is already kicked off, we're trying to get on that. Next one. We're going to have, of course, you all funded this. We ask you to help support and us promoting it. If there's any teams that might want to come in, we'd like to support it. Our office, you can see our office in the next one and final one. Our office puts these out, posters throughout this area. Now we're having discussions with Mr. Cantu, the chairman, about extending it RGV wide, so we can continue the brand of having something to come to Los Fresnos to do with September, November, and then the burning through the fall as the migration starts. But yes, thank you, and we will get to that.
Is the birding festival in Harlingen through the Parks Department?
No, it's a quasi-independent group that they have their convention and tourist bureau. And I've been in touch with them and knocking on their door it just costs $150. If any of you know any contacts how to get on, we need to get on now. We have an investment to show off, which is our birding and butterfly and park system.
Well, the director of the park system in Harlingen's a Los Fresnos resident.
Yeah, I know. Yes, Judy.
The Birding Festival is an independent group. If you're going to promote it, we've got so much to do over there in that park.
Oh, no. Just have a booth there so we can have some of the tourists come. It's part of our tourist program.
If we're going to advertise it to tourists, we have to have something for them to come to see.
Oh, yes, we're working on that with you. Yes. Yeah, okay.
So it's at the conventions, the brand new convention center in Harlingen. It's November 10th through the 14th.
Something
I
like
believe.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. So we've got item letter F, report by General Manager, Mr. Mylum.
Mine's quick. The cameras that we've been talking about, we did get some positive information. It looks like they may provide the cameras for us because they like what they might could see off of those cameras with the park. And that's, I think last time we had said, okay, let's get our vision down to exactly what we want. And so we did 5 places and visited with them. And so they're going to get back with us on exactly how to make that happen. We would probably have to pay a monthly fee ongoing, but looks like that we don't have to have our people install the cameras and run it. They would do that as part of the program because they're excited about what it might bring to their viewership as a whole. And so that's all that's there. And Gene and I both been with TxDOT and on these lights that were purchased. They're sitting in the garage over there, and one day we'll get them up. But until then, that's all my report.
Thank you, Mr. Mylum. Does that conclude your report?
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on, we've got item G, committee reports and action as may be appropriate. So, board members, is there any reports that you'd like to make?
None for me.
Thank you, gentlemen. So this moves us to item letter H, adjournment.